Tonight on Cronkite News, tax season is here and is bringing some new savings. We'll tell you how seniors could get bigger returns. Plus, tariffs hit Arizona small businesses. See how one coffee shop is adapting to the changes. And I'll have an in-depth conversation about how Medicaid changes could affect Arizonans. Good evening and welcome to a special edition of Cronkite News, Arizona, the cost of change. I'm Serenity Reynolds. Thank you for joining us. Tonight, we are focusing in on how stories about recent government decisions could impact your wallet and much more. We begin with the topic on the minds of a lot of us right now, tax season. 2026 marks the start of sweeping changes from Congress's One Big Beautiful Bill, and Arizonans could see some savings on their tax returns. Our Ray Tadako shows us how older adults can make the most of their tax return.
Senior citizens and retirees like Sylvia Melendez are getting ready to file their taxes and looking forward to a new break.
Most of the people want their money so they could pay payments, or if they have medical bills, pay up the medical bills.
Seniors like Sylvia are heading to VITA sites, a free tax assistance program provided by the IRS. But before heading inside, you must have a valid ID, social security card, a bank statement, and wage and earning statement.
VITA's always been real good. I've done it for years, and they're very professional, and they have never made a mistake.
These volunteer income tax assistants are here to help low-income communities, seniors, veterans, and people with disabilities file their taxes. And this year, there's a new benefit for seniors.
Big, beautiful bill last year. There's definitely a huge credit for seniors, $6,000 wiped off of their taxable income.
President Trump's sweeping legislation last year provides a large new deduction for people older than 65, but make less than $75,000 a year as individuals. It's scheduled to last until the 2028 tax season. For volunteers at VITA sites, the goal this year is making sure eligible seniors don't miss out.
They're able to increase the refund compared to past years. It's nice being able to see how this tax law impacts positively our clients.
For Sylvia, navigating retirement, every dollar can make a difference.
So I think it's so nice that the city does this for people. It's free, and it's free so you don't have to pay and you don't lose any money. You get everything back. Yeah.
In Phoenix, Ray Tadako, Cronkite News.
Months before the Big Beautiful Bill, the Trump administration launched another effort that impacts the bottom line across the U.S., global tariffs. As of December 2025, the U.S. Treasury has collected more than $133 billion through tariffs. Now the Supreme Court says that those actions are unconstitutional. The decision did not address the possibility for a tariff refund. President Trump has vowed to continue to implement tariffs using other laws. While Washington rethinks federal tariff policy, our Allison Kotzbauer tells us how these tariffs still have the potential to impact small businesses here in Arizona.
Brick Road Coffee, a space where people could come in and simply exhale.
Let me know how it is.
Now, 5 years after opening, it could be in hot water because of ever-changing trade policy.
This has to pay that rent bill, and it has to pay that payroll every 2 weeks. And at some point, there's not going to be enough cash.
While tariffs on coffee imports did end in November, local coffee shop owner Gabe Hagan says that he is still feeling the effects at his local businesses.
We're just now starting to see the beginnings of that relief.
Hagan says the unpredictable trade policies leaves industry lagging behind and his small business paying the price.
Coffee was sitting in warehouses that was brought in before that exemption that I still have to buy that already paid the tariff. So those funds weren't returned. It didn't just make it go away overnight.
Hagan says his business signed import contracts when tariffs were in place. Now he's still legally bound to those higher costs. But tariffs aren't the only challenge for small businesses.
Well, there's a variety of factors that affect inflation, tariffs being one of them, interest rates being another. So there's a combination of factors that need to come into play to reduce prices.
Mike Huckins with the Greater Phoenix Chamber of Commerce says even without tariffs, we still might see higher prices, and says tariffs can play an important role in boosting the economy, But he doesn't think that's happening now.
We have a number of small businesses that have gone out of business, unfortunately, directly related to the tariffs. There's been other factors, of course, that come into play in the economy, but tariffs have definitely played a part.
Hagan says tariffs do have their place.
Tariffs have some purpose when they are strategically and surgically used.
But that place isn't in your coffee cup.
In Mesa, for Cronkite News, Allison Kotzbauer.
Coming up next, the Big Beautiful Bill changes eligibility requirements for Medicaid. It's now up to the states to implement the changes. We'll learn more about how Arizona and its residents can keep up with changing federal policy. Coming up on this special edition of Cronkite News.
The scientists and engineers that support the next mission to Mars could be in this class.
Getting a degree at ASU is a journey that can take you anywhere. Into a world of groundbreaking technology and renowned award-winning faculty. Professors who help you to impact the world. Whether you're on campus or at home, becoming your best starts with learning from the best.
Welcome back to this special edition of Cronkite News, Arizona, the cost of change. In July, several eligibility changes were made to Medicaid through the One Big Beautiful Bill. Now, more specific changes are coming to Arizonans. A package of bills passed the Arizona legislature in February. However, Governor Katie Hobbs swiftly vetoed them. One of the bills dealt with oversight of Arizona's Medicaid program, better known as Access. Republicans say this bill would have reduced fraud in government assistance programs. However, Democrats like Hobbs say tighter oversight isn't needed and could affect Arizonans' access to Medicaid.
We went up in the last 5 years from $21 billion in access to $31 billion. There is something not accurate. We can't keep on allowing that to grow the way it has.
People are struggling right now to pay bills. They should not have to choose between paying rent or paying for their medication.
While the bill will not become law, Medicaid recipients will still need to comply with federal work requirements, including a state verification every 6 months. Joining me now in the newsroom to talk about access changes moving forward under federal law is Cronkite reporter Audrey Lippert. Audrey, new federal laws require Medicaid recipients to verify eligibility. How will this affect and impact Arizonans?
So this is going to affect adults under the age of 65 who are slightly above the federal poverty line. Experts I spoke to at the Arizona Public Health Association estimate that 200,000 to 300,000 Arizonans could lose coverage or be required to submit the work requirements, depending on the government's definition of able-bodied.
Could you explain what the federal work requirements for Medicaid are?
So the federal work requirements are simply a verification that the Access member is either employed in a paying job, volunteering, or in job training for at least 80 hours per month.
Federal law requires Access to create a portal to track work requirements. How far along is Arizona in that process?
So Arizona has actually been updating its Access website for the past few years. They're working on improving their mainframe. So this is going to be an additional new interface that'll be built on top of the work they're already doing.
And that deadline is in January. Will we meet that deadline?
Public health officials I talked to are concerned not only that they may not meet the deadline, but if they do meet the deadline, that the interface won't be very easy to use, and Medicaid members may not be able to submit the requirements simply because they don't understand the system.
How could these changes strain the Arizona hospital system?
So rural health officials are worried that hospitals in rural areas who serve a large Medicaid population may have to provide more charity care because the people that they're serving will no longer have health insurance. This affects hospitals that are already working with really thin margins and will impact their bottom line, which in turn impacts the care they provide to their patients.
Finally, what do Arizonans on access need to do to ensure that they're properly enrolled in Medicaid?
They need to watch out for that January 1st, 2027 deadline and look for that interface that will be hopefully coming up. And to submit their work requirements, they need to make sure they have their W-2 forms, proof of employment, or enrollment in a university on hand.
Thank you, Audrey. Coming up next, as the Trump administration works to get energy production back in the U.S., another group is fighting to reduce production in their backyard.
People need to get up and stand up. Stand up for your water, for your land.
We'll tell you how indigenous groups are fighting mining on their land, coming up on the special edition of Cronkite News.
People have always had trouble trying to put me into a box. A professor, suit and tie is just not me. Without the ocean, I don't know what I would do. You know, the ocean's always been there for me. As Hawaiian people, we believe that the coral is the first living being to come out of the darkness. It's the foundation of our entire lifestyle, and that's what my research is about. What we do is we take photographs of the reef over long periods of time to create models that can tell us what the planet is doing. If we go deaf to what the Earth is telling us, then we'll never be able to live in harmony. If I can get my students excited about protecting the ocean, then they're the ones who are gonna really make the difference. I hope my students realize that I'm not trying to prepare them for something in the distant future. Their time is now at Arizona State University.
Welcome back to this special edition of Cronkite News. The One Big Beautiful Bill promises to move energy production back to the U.S., including opening mining lands to encourage coal production. While the nation focuses on expanding energy on the home front, Arizona indigenous groups are fighting against uranium and lithium mines. In this documentary produced by students at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism, we look at where the wind meets the water.
If this lithium mine never happened, all that air that goes down that way, all that wind that goes down that way, and everything that, you're talking about air contamination, water contamination, I think it's like, who's going to get affected? I'm not, because I'm up here. You are. So, somebody has to fight for you, because you're not going to be there. I know that.
This area, the Grand Canyon, known as the National Park now, was Aboriginal homelands of the Habsoopai people. We are known as the guardians of the Grand Canyon. Right now, look at where you are. Beauty, beauty. Right now, that mine out there is hauling, I think it was 3 months back, 13 trucks that pull out every day. And ever since that 13 trucks, they say every week 2 trucks are added or 3 trucks are added. So they're probably like at 13, maybe 20 some trucks now that are going across country through this little road all the way to Flagstaff by the intersection of Williams, going across into Flagstaff, up into Navajo country, going all the way up to the mill.
The Grand Canyon, an unlikely spot for mining, and yet on its south rim lies the Orphan Mine, first developed as a copper mine, now part of the current uranium boom in our western states, created by peacetime uses for nuclear energy. Some of the nation's largest power companies are among the uranium prospectors as they map plans for future nuclear installations, replacing oil and coal-burning plants. Yellow ore shows good uranium, while black ore is extremely rich in fissionable material. At $7 a pound, the uranium search rivals the Old West's gold rush.
My father, he always used to say that the canyon is like a woman. It's like your mother. He says, you know how your mother goes to the restroom and she stays in there for a long time. And then when she comes out, she looks real pretty. I said, that's my dad. He used to say about that canyon. He says, you look at that canyon. He says, sometimes you'll see in the background of that canyon, you see colors start coming out. He said, that's your mother. That's the canyons, like our mother. He says, she looks beautiful.
This mill that's running this has given permission from other countries, Japan, Madagascar, there was other countries that are being shipped to this United States, and it's being taken there. Their contamination, their radioactive waste is coming here. And this company is saying, yes, it's uranium, we'll take it. but they don't know what else is involved with all these stuff that come out of country and are coming here. And they're not telling people. They're keeping it low key, and yet they're getting paid to take this waste. That's not fair.
We were raising awareness, carrying waters across sacred journeys through sacred waters, going towards Sacred Pass, which was one of something that we were able to help participate in. We were able to join that walk. We started from Choya Canyon Ranch Road, or Choya Canyon Ranch to Winnemucca, which was 12-day run, 12-day walk, and again it was a very, very interesting walk run. We had 3 people that joined us from here. Actually, we had a group from Phoenix that came and joined us. The way I always say it, is that, people need to get up and stand up for your water, for your land.
The water that comes through the village goes straight into the Colorado. The Colorado carries it all to the townships, so where you guys are going to be going. So if that place gets contaminated, it's not just going to be my people. We're going to be up in the front and we're going to be sick, yeah. But everybody's going to get sick all the way down. So they don't see this big picture. They just see money. They punctured one of the aquifers that were on top, and it's spewing out, and it's contaminated too. Mind you, the Havasupai people said and told them, no, since I can remember, my elders before me stood ground and said no to this mining. They didn't listen. I stand here now, my elders are gone. They went back into spirit. And I stand here now as an elder, still fighting this fight, and they're not listening. I do not feel good because that's not the way. Every time those trucks haul out, going from that canyon rim, and right there is a sacred spot of my people, our original area, sacred, and yet they keep going through there, and they've contaminated it already. all the way to, with all the trucking routes they've done, they're contaminating.
Looked like those clouds, it didn't even move.
It was really beautiful. You know, we didn't have a lot of money, but we had family. Our families were always kind to one another. And nowadays, even in our village, even our closest relative, sometimes when we don't have money and we're barely making it to the next check, you know, we go and we ask our family to help. They slam the door on our face. 4 years ago, I remember my mother would give my older brother a bowl and he'd say, go ask our next door neighbor for flour. So he would go and they never slammed the door in his face. They took the bowl, they filled it for him. But it was the same for all of us that lived there. If we didn't have something, we went to our relatives. And they never said no. Even with money, they gave what they had, and maybe it was the last of what they had. But because the family needed it for one reason or another, they gave it.
That's it for tonight's special edition of Cronkite News, Arizona, the Cost of Change. I'm Serenity Reynolds. Thank you for joining us.